Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast.
We are now at number 28 of the 49ers roster countdown, and stud rookie cornerback from last year, at least the second half of last year, cornerback Ambry Thomas. Jersey number 20, man, he came on, and you could make the argument, without Ambry Thomas last year, the 49ers don't make the playoffs. You remember he came in, he started the last 5 games of the regular season, then carried that into the playoffs. But, you know, slow developing, took him some time. We're going to go through that journey. But again, what he did down the stretch was uncanny, unbelievable. And what's even more crazy than that is that you had this rookie that excelled to a point of being such a quality starter at a position of need for the 49ers, might not even start this year. So we'll answer some of those questions as we continue through that. We got some film coming up that we'll be sharing with you guys as well. Now, Ambry Thomas is interesting. Dude was born on 9/9/99. He's 22 years old, September 9th, baby. He's entering into his second season. Grew up in Detroit, Michigan, played at Martin Luther King High School, and he's got a lot of accolades. There's no doubt about it, whether, you know, high school, college, he chose to go to the University of Michigan, which is interesting. You know, I want to say we have found this really, really fun story about whenever he was a kid. His family's telling this story. His name's Ambry. They call him Bree. That's kind of his nickname. Whenever he was first started playing at 5 years old, his first game, they threw the ball to him. He caught it and ran the wrong way. Everybody started like cheering, stop. He got all the way to the 20-yard line before scoring on his own end zone, stopped, turned around, and zigzagged his way 80 yards to a touchdown the correct way. So this kid started off as just a stud and a fun personality, very mild-mannered, monotone, as his family says. But whenever he shows up on the field, man, this dude is a fighter. And so let's do this. Let's jump in. Let me throw this film up here. This is a fun game because this is against Notre Dame back in, I think this is 2020 tape, maybe 2019 tape, because you've got at left guard for Notre Dame, Aaron Banks. So you've got Banks at left guard in this film, and you've got Ambry Thomas at right outside corner. So you'll see him out there right outside corner going against Chase Claypool. There's a lot of talent. You can see it at the top of the screen. Now, if you're one of those people that's like, man, it's small, I can't really see it, all those things, we have all of this film and more at patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast. Several game tapes. You can see every single snap from what he did in college to every single snap that he did last year for the 49ers. Is we have detailed every offense and defensive snap with breakdowns on everybody, visual and auditory notes on top of these with what we're looking at. So if as you're watching this, we're just giving you a small taste, just a little extra. But if you want the whole thing, it's the best way to support the podcast. 49ers Rush Podcast, Patreon, just type those things in. It jumps up very first thing. Now, if you look at what he was able to accomplish, you know, kind of in high school, again, Martin Luther King High School, he led them to back-to-back state championships in 2015 and 2016, and his rival school played against, lots of other new 49ers corners coming up, I think it's Samuel Womack was up there as well, and they played against each other, and he helped lead his school to a 12-2 record, which was incredible. Made 34 catches, 900 yards, 14 touchdowns. As a receiver, he was a two-way player, had 44 tackles, 14 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. Dude was just returned to kickoff for a touchdown, returned to interception for a touchdown. He scored so many ways. Just an absolute stud. And whenever he got to college, guess what? He picked up right where he left off. Goes to Michigan. Played in 13 games as a freshman, primarily as the kickoff returner. And he's got great return upside. But again, we didn't really get to see that this year. I wouldn't be surprised. The 49ers paid a pretty decent amount to bring in Ray McCloud. But if Ambry Thomas doesn't win one of the starting jobs, which I don't think he's going to this year with the depth that the 49ers built at the corner position, backup returner. He's going to be on special teamers. Don't be shocked if we see him returning kicks or punts at some point. I know Ray McCloud will be the primary guy, but you got to have a number 2. I would not be shocked at all to see him kind of get that. And his sophomore year, he returned a 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown against Notre Dame. Just the 4th ever kickoff return for over 99 yards in Michigan history. All academic Big Ten. Almost every player on this roster, you could say that. So started 13 games on special teams, played defensive back in 8 of those games as a sophomore. Junior year, started every game, 13 games, named team's defensive skill player of the year, PFF's all Big Ten team, Pro Football Focus college flex defense. I mean, he named everything, named defensive player of the week for, a game. I mean, it just kept going. Awesome year his junior year. And then things got weird. He got colitis. And whenever he got colitis, he lost a lot of weight, was in the hospital for a while. Then COVID happens. He opted out because he had some issues health-wise. So you're talking about somebody that didn't play football, very similar to Trey Lance, for almost a year. And so whenever you look back at his rookie slate and why it took him, 14 weeks before he got into the starting lineup, it took him time to develop, and that's why he fell to the back end of the 3rd round where they got him. Now, if we look at his metrics and kind of what he was able to accomplish, 5'11", 191, ran a 4.4040, so speed check, 38-inch vertical. He's got a 10-2 broad jump, 15 reps on the bench press. And he got drafted pick 102 in the 3rd round. This was an Adam Peters guy. He was the one that championed this kid. And, if you go back to his walk-off interception, Week 18 versus the Rams, which put the 49ers in the playoffs, you see Adam Peters waiting for him in the tunnel, giving him that huge hug, which is just incredible. Patience and ball skills. Those are the 2 things that, my pre-draft write-up of him before the 49ers draft him. Good speed that shows consistently on film. Very patient in press, just waits on the wide receivers to declare, never guesses. And whenever he first stepped in, we saw him in training camp, we saw him in preseason, he was just getting toasted by everybody. It took him time. It took him time to get to where he needed to be. And, all players go on different trajectories. And it just took time. But once he got there, I mean, it was unbelievable. He had 4 interceptions in college, 3 pass defense. Again, only 1 year starting. He's got good speed, 11.5 in the 100 meter, pretty solid. He was number 2 player in the state in the 100, only behind Donovan Peoples-Jones, who would later be his teammate. I talked earlier about how he got colitis. He lost 35 pounds. This is a guy that was already under 200. So whenever he lost weight, he didn't have that weight to lose. He had to fight back and get into NFL shape and all those things. My player comp for him is a player that just actually retired. This was a comp I wrote back in 2019. Devin Mccourty. That's just what the similarities in play style, athletic profile. He's just an all-around NFL player. Now, let's look at what he did for the 49ers. So we'll pull this film down for a quick second. Let's go to what he did for the 49ers. He played a lot of special teams, a whole lot. He had 99 special team snaps before he started at outside corner. When he started at outside corner, week 14, they took all his special team snaps away. Once he started in week 14 out, he got 483 defensive snaps, and that's including playoffs because dude was a stud in the playoffs. Now listen to a couple other things that I think is important. In his first 6 games, just getting spot duty, special teams, going in trash time, things like that, 4 out of 6 of his first games were below a 40 grade on Pro Football Focus, as bad as it could possibly be. And that's when people are like, oh, he's a bust, blah, 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 blah. But you got to wait. These are rookies. The last 5 games, all over 63. So 60 is a starting level corner. Was he elite? No. But he was good at a position the 49ers had no depth in. He's a great tackler, only 1 missed tackle and a 2.8% missed tackle rate on the outside corner. That's uncanny. That's really, really good. Very, very good. He did allow 4 touchdowns in the season. No touchdowns allowed in the playoffs. And he did miss the Packers game with a knee issue. He had some knee swelling. But if you look at him, I mean, he played against Dallas, right, and their wide receivers. And he played against the Rams and their wide receivers. 0 touchdowns in either game whenever it mattered most. Had 1 interception, and I would argue probably the biggest interception of the year, a walk-off interception win in overtime. You just don't get those. It was absolutely incredible. 49ers do not make the playoffs if Josh Norman is still out there playing those last 5 games of the regular season. They don't. They just do not. They don't even have the chance. But Ambry Thomas and his development, once it got ramped up, that was huge. 4 pass breakups on the year. He ended 5 straight games with under 100 QBR allowed. That's the Rams twice, Dallas, Tennessee, and Houston. Dude showed up when it mattered most. Now, what does 2022 look like for Ambry Thomas? Finished literally sending the 49ers into the playoffs and playing great. Well, he's been the number 3 corner all of camp. Charvarius Ward's number 1. Emmanuel Mosley's number 2. I do not see him surpassing Emmanuel Mosley if he's healthy. And then what do you do with Verrett whenever he comes back and is fully healthy? I don't know. I think the best case is probably cornerback number 3. Perhaps he starts in nickel packages where he's the outside corner and you slide Mosley in. That's a possibility. I don't know if that's something the 49ers will do. It's what I would prefer them to do. If I was the defensive coordinator, that's 100% what I would do. I want my best 3 corners. I like Darqueze Dennard. I think he's probably slated to start at nickel. But I want the best 3 out there, which I think the best 3 or 4, any combination, Charvarius Ward, Emmanuel Mosley, Ambry Thomas, Jason Verrett, get those guys on the field. Darqueze Dennard, that's awesome, but I'd much rather have Mosley and Ambry Thomas out there than Mosley and Darqueze Dennard out there. Now, we'll have to see if they do that, and we'll find out pretty soon if that's something they're going to do. But Kenny, he's worst case, he's cornerback 4. Outside, in which case he'll be on all special teams and he'll be a backup. We're going to use him. The 49ers go through corners like crazy, almost like they go through running backs, injuries, whatever else. So just because he's not starting week 1 does not mean his impact will not be huge. Look at the impact he had last year. He started 5 regular season games. He didn't show up till week 14 as an outside corner, right? So just got to wait. We got him number 28 on the most important 49ers for 2022. He's going to have his time to shine. And in the NFC West, with all those wide receivers and whatever else, we're going to need this kid. Maybe he comes in on dime packages. We're going to see him on the field. Love Ambry Thomas. And if I was doing this list for long-term starters, Ambry Thomas and Charvarius Ward are slated to be the outside corners next year and moving forward. So it's just more seasoning. So just because he's not starting week 1 this year, you just got to wait. The 49ers are building a roster for the long term and short term. The short term might not be his year. Long term, it's going to come. It's going to happen. So you just got to be patient with this kid. Great things are ahead. I want to say thank you to Anthony and Josh, executive producers of this show. Incredible entire series. They're just doing a great job. So 28, cornerback Ambry Thomas. We're just going to keep counting them down.